So I'm going to go ahead and get started, guys. So as you know, my name is Brandon. I'm with Foodies, and I really appreciate this group that Max has started. It's a privilege to speak with everybody and really get to know each other. The way that this group is operating is like really one of the main reasons that I got into the food truck business. From my experiences, the food truck culture is completely different than like any other business. Even restaurants, like talking to other food truck owners, operators, bonding with them, just the whole feel of community is really what sets the food truck culture apart. I know a lot of restaurant owners, they're pretty cutthroat, but it seems like the food truck culture is like uncommonly tight knit. And everyone's looking out for each other, and the operators want to see everybody do well. So, that's what I love about the food truck industry is that everybody's trying to help each other out. Same with this group. Anybody that has any questions, we see quick responses. We see people being able to share some of their experiences and help people out. So I started my first food truck about 5 years ago. I know I don't have all the answers. I'm sure there's some people watching that have been operating longer than me. But I'm hoping that I can share something that'll save you like a headache, prepare you for your new venture if you're just starting out, or enhance your current operation. So stick around to the end, and I'll open it up for questions and have a special offer for you guys. So I started my first barbecue truck in 2015, and we did like events, factory lunches, weddings, public setups, and then around 2017, the brand and the equipment was actually acquired by a guy that came in and purchased it, and it's still operating today. So it's kind of nice to see that brand still out there, still flourishing. But over those 2 years, I learned a lot. I had what you may consider a lot of industry challenges. So you may have seen that I'm from Michigan. So I only operate part-time, and it's typically seasonal. Right now, like I said, it's about 18 degrees about where I'm at. So it's definitely a challenge in the cold weather. So the feedback that I heard the most, so from operating day to day, from consumers was, I didn't know where you were set up until it was too late. You were already gone by the time I got there. Or I wish there was an easier way to find you. Or another one was, I didn't know you didn't do catering and events. I didn't know those type of things. So, the biggest advantage was being mobile, being able to go to the crowds and being able to be flexible. But it was also like one of the biggest hindrances. Unless, I had a schedule of my routes and I published it like weeks ahead of time, or if I could afford a massive marketing budget, I was really missing out on a lot of opportunities. Facebook's algorithms and things like that, they don't really share all of your posts to all of your followers. It's only closer to like 20% of your followers see it. They're expecting you to pay to sponsor it, to push it out to more people. And on top of that, videos do get a lot of exposure. So those type of things, like I wasn't really aware of at the time. So a lot of people would get my delayed responses, like where I was setting up and what I was serving, or any deals that I was having. It always came across their Facebook a little late. So those are opportunities that I was missing. So I started doing some research. And while there were some solutions, that could help with find catering, could help find events, or could help track my truck, it was completely fragmented. There was apps everywhere. I didn't know which one to go to. You have like Roaming Hunger, Street Food Finder. Those are some of our competitions. So you have all these different apps, and they were kind of pricey. I mean, I'm not knocking the competition, but what I look back on and seeing what they were doing, and talking to other food truck owners, is they charge you percentages. And we all know how tight our margins can be. So because of this, Foodies was created, which I'll get into more on that later. But in 2008, I knew that it was time to get back in the game. So 2015, I launched my food truck, and then I sold it. 2017 is when I started getting the thing to get all the portfolio together and get everything together to start Foodies. And then in early 2018, I knew I had to get back into the food game. I missed it. But this time I had a clearer vision, okay? And the experiences from the 2015 experience, my first food truck, I could really build on that. So with my partner, I ended up launching a hibachi food cart, which is what I own now. And between year one and year two, we doubled our sales. And then we're also on pace to double again into our third year with all the events that we have contracted. And I'm doing this all just part-time. So if you looked at the prior pictures that we had posted about the group event, you'll see this, this big time setup of, the food truck, this huge barbecue setup. You'd probably think that I upgraded from the cart to that barbecue setup. But that's not true. My first setup was a trailer, a truck, a separate smoker, and that smoker could actually do 115 racks of ribs at once. So it was a 3-piece setup. It was massive. But believe it or not, my profits are actually higher in my little 15-foot cart that hauls everything. So this is going to take you to my first do of the day. Okay, so do start with the end in mind. Okay, so planning ahead will save you time, money, and a ton of energy. So that's my probably biggest piece of advice. When you conceptualize this and strategize, think about where you want to be in the future, because strategizing your game plan is going to be the most crucial step that you can take. Okay, my first step was my first setup was a big head turner. We served 3 to 4 sides. We served ribs, briskets, and pulled pork. We were running 4 employees a day, and business was good, but it wasn't optimal. It was never it was never my plan to be full time. But if we weren't operating all day, real money wasn't being made because of how long the food took to prep and how many staff we had to have. It was really an all-day operation. So our focus was our focus was events and parties and catering, but our setup kind of restricted us. We offered too much, and our food truck was way too long, and the food time took way too long to prepare. We had a great product and a great presentation, but it didn't really align with our vision. So we weren't really prepared at that time to go full time and really set up more than like 2 or 3 days a week. So it made sense when we got an offer. But since I've rolled out with Nom Nom Ninja, which is my new food trailer, it was conceptualized and built around our strategic plan and expectations. So that's a do. So before, everything was built around the product that I had, the whole operation and things like that. But I think it's more important to build around your idea. So whatever you're conceptualizing, whatever your strategic plan is, build around that. We knew we wanted a product that people could carry around at concerts and festivals, but we didn't want to compete with all the traditional types of food. So we took a full service item, teriyaki chicken and steak, and we turned that into a fast casual hibachi wraps. So that's what I'm currently selling. And right now we can serve over 50 in an hour, and set up and tear down is only about 45 minutes. So that's kind of what we were looking for, more like concerts and events and things like that. So for concerts, you have some peak times when you can serve. And I think you really need to focus and narrow down on, your serving times, because it doesn't matter if you're at an event and there's 10,000 people there and there's only 5 trucks. If you can only serve 50 people in an hour, that means you're only going to serve 500 in 10 hours. So just keep that in mind as you're doing this and, preparing things. It's all about efficiency and wait times and how fast you can get things out. If you're someone that doesn't mind being set up every day, and have like a scheduled routine and, it's going to be hit or miss traffic, then you definitely have more time. But just know that in these peak events, it does matter about time efficiency and getting food out. So that kind of brings me to a don't. You don't have to go big or go home. Okay, I invested a lot of money in my first operation. It got a lot of compliments from the design all the way down to our homemade sides and our homemade sauces. And I had really high expectations. So I wanted everything to be consistent, over the top customer service, no waits. Well, then obviously reality sank in. So you can't be overstaffed and overstocked and still make a profit. And that's what I was doing. I wanted to make sure we had enough stock and enough employees and enough hands on deck, basically. And you can't overdo it and still make a profit. So keeping it simple and being flexible to your customers' feedback will take you further faster. Okay, so you don't have to offer everything to a consumer in the kitchen sink. Most people understand. Most people are familiar with food trucks, and they understand that you're limited by space and by time. So find your core items and adjust. When you're starting out, I wouldn't offer more than probably 3 prepared prepared items. I mean, you can offer stuff like sides and drinks, but I wouldn't offer any more than probably 3 prepared items. And then just watch what's selling, listen to what people are saying and stay versatile. So that'd be my recommendation when you're starting out. Try to keep it simple and stay versatile. The next few things I'm just going to briefly touch on because they really do vary depending on, what state you're in and what city you're in. I'm in Central Michigan, like I said earlier, and when I was starting out, I didn't really realize the abundance of regulations and paperwork I was getting myself into. So I kind of want to prepare you for that. So here are a list of things to be prepared for if you're considering opening up a food truck in the near future. The very first thing I would do is I would file for an LLC. You can start a business with a DBA, which is a doing business as. However, I wouldn't recommend it in the food industry. I won't get into all the legal aspect of it, but with a limited liability company, you'll have much more protection. If something goes wrong or some unfortunate event or somebody gets sick, you'll have a lot more protection if you have an LLC created. And at that time, when I was first starting out, I might have paid a premium, like a little bit more, but I actually filed all my paperwork with LegalZoom. They pretty much took care of everything for me, and I just told them the name and whatever I want to do. And like I said, I probably paid a couple $100 more than I should have, but I didn't have that experience of doing it myself at that time. So, and the second thing I would do after you got your business formed, or as you're thinking about it, I would call your local health department, okay? And I would ask them the steps to becoming licensed. My health department requires a plan review, SOPs, which are your standard operating procedures, ServSafe certification, and a business license all must be submitted with the application. So those are things that you should be ready for. And then once my application was accepted, they would inspect it one final time, and then I was officially licensed. But to stay licensed, I have to be inspected 3 times in 12 months while operating. So those are some things that be prepared to run into, which, like I said, I wasn't quite yet prepared for. One of the questions on the application was, do I want to license as an STFU or a mobile? So an STFU is a special transitory food unit, and it can operate throughout the state without the 14-day limit. And it does not have to return to a commissary kitchen every 24 hours. Where a mobile would. So a mobile would have to return to their commissary every 24 hours. So if you're doing 2 or 3 day events and they're pretty far, that's kind of why I did the STFU. It's a little more, but it does give you more flexibility, and you can stay out over 24 hours. So after you're all licensed, the next thing I would do is call the city or the county when you're planning this, and wherever you're planning to operate, because each city and county has their own parking, fire, and permit regulations. For example, the city that I live in requires that you pay them $1,000 a year to park inside the city limits, and that you can't park within 150 feet of a restaurant entrance. So those are some things that you might run into that you may want to call. And I know there's red tape depending on which city you're in, but you always want to be prepared for that. So when you travel to other cities, you should also expect to submit a letter of intent at least 7 days in advance. And sometimes some of the cities that I've been to, they do accept my license, but they also require me to get a temporary permit in that city. So just be prepared when you guys are traveling throughout the states. Once you're licensed and you're ready to go, you'll want to make sure that you're insured. So most events that I've worked with, they want you to add an organization or a venue as additionally insured on your certificate of insurance. So a COI is something you're going to want to be familiar with when you talk to your insurance. You're going to want to add additional insured. And the minimum coverage requirement for most events that I've ran into is a $1 million aggregate policy. So aggregate, so that's not a single policy, but $1 million aggregate policy. And we just keep this coverage all year round. It's actually pretty affordable. We do monthly paying on that. So we kind of budget that into our fiscal year. So. And now that you've dotted all of your I's and crossed all your T's, it's time to make some money, right? So what's the best way to go about that? In my experience, the most profitable opportunities are events and catering. So when considering an event, there's a few things that I always look for, okay? When was the event established? That's kind of the first question that I ask. So I never really expect to make that much money at first-time events. We run into those a lot. I just don't really have high expectations just because I've been through quite a few first-time events. But I'll still do them because you usually do get a lot of exposure, and you're able to usually to negotiate your terms as a repeat vendor. Like say, I want a prime spot if this comes back next year, or I want to pay this percentage if I come back next year. So you have the ability to kind of negotiate your terms. Since you're taking a risk and you're part of a first time event, most vendors will probably work with you if they plan on making it reoccurring. So if the event's been around a while, the first thing I always do is search on Google or social media. I've known a lot of events that have done like radio advertising and some traditional like billboards. But the ones that I've seen that have the biggest impact are the ones that have a lot of social media buzz, or a lot of on the Google, a lot of digital buzz around it. If there's not much engagement, it's a pretty good indication that it's not going to be a very good turnout. So I would check the engagement. So see how many comments they have, see how many likes they have, how many shares, how many people are interested in going to those events. So that'd be the second thing I would do after I figured out, how long this event's been around. And I almost always reach out to other vendors like you guys who have operated at an event or with another or with the same organizer. What I love about most vendors is that, they'll give you straight answers and they'll give you the best advice. And that's a big part of the food truck culture. We're always looking out for each other, it feels like. So, and then a key indicator of a successful event is the consumer to food truck ratio. Usually like an ideal, if you're asking how many attendees do you expect, and then you ask how many trucks, the ideal ratio would be 500 to 1. So if you could get 500 attendees to 1 truck, that's really a good indicator that you'll have pretty good sales. You'll do pretty well. I mean, it can get higher than that. Some are a little bit lower. Some people still do well, but I really like to see 500 consumers per truck. And I would also ask the organizer if they're allowing duplicate vendors. You really don't want to be like the 3rd or 4th taco truck or hibachi truck, unless you're selling some kind of fusion. So when it comes to fees, I really wouldn't pay more than 15% of sales. I mean, that's kind of your high average. And even then you can usually negotiate a few points. I've known some event organizers that'll ask up to 30% of sales. And then they say, well, they advise you to go ahead and pass that cost along to the customers. But I do tend to stay away from those. I haven't heard great feedback about those high percentages that ask you to pass that along to the consumer. But there is a few in the area that have a couple 100,000 attendees, and that's the percentages that they're asking for. So catering is by far the most profitable area of revenue. The biggest problem is finding those opportunities. Until now at least. But catering is guaranteed profits, and it's really considered recession proof. It's a $52 billion industry, and it's still growing. So you have to find creative ways to advertise, and corporate catering is probably the most consistent. So there's always birthdays and weddings, but corporate catering is something that you can depend on. While I'm sure that we all love food, right, and meeting people, we start these businesses to make money, right? I mean, that's the idea. So the biggest impact of your revenue is your pricing, okay? If you want to be successful, you have to have margins that'll keep the lights on and put a little change in your pocket, all right? So when considering pricing a menu, you ideally want to be around 30% food cost. So that's ideal. I mean, some people are lower, some people are higher. I've seen them up to 40%, down to 20% as food cost. And around 40%. So what you're basically doing is you want to multiply your raw cost by 3 and keep those food costs around 30%. So I followed the group really closely, and I noticed that someone asked a really interesting question. They wanted to know if a full wrap is worth the cost. And that's a great question. In my opinion and from my experience, wraps or even like paint. So if you do the custom artwork or you have someone that that can paint a mural, as long as those last, I don't know how long the rental can last, but it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, because I've had some well-established event organizers reach out to me just because of the way my truck looked, my design, my branding, and they opened up positions just for me. So they were actually booked. One of them was at Michigan International Speedway, so it was a pretty big event, and it was a country music concert, and I had the barbecue, and it just went along with their theme. So based solely on my design and branding, they offered me an opening. So So it really comes down to your strategic plan. So when I had that barbecue, it was a lot of country concerts, a lot of rodeos, people like that were reaching out to me. And now my hibachi wrap, my hibachi style cart is more like comic. It's like superheroes. It definitely draws a whole different demographic. So it definitely comes down to what your strategic plan is. Just checking all the comments, guys. Sorry if I missed anything. All right, sorry about that. I'm just checking out the comments. You guys probably got questions, and I'll go over those at the end, which I'm getting close to. So I want to make sure I go over all your questions. So if you guys could just keep the questions towards the end so I don't miss anything. Okay, so. And so, I mean, really, that's really my perspectives on the experiences that I've had from doing a startup. You know, all the way from you know, is getting established is kind of the hardest part. Like there's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of things that you can go through, but I know this group is going to be valuable to you guys. I can already tell. I can see the advice that you guys are giving. It's great advice, and I wish I had this kind of resource when I was starting out. But the final thing that I really want to talk about is foodies, and I won't take up much of your time. But what foodies it's basically a solution to all these problems that I had with my food truck starting out and in the events. So foodies really simplifies an array of challenges that foodies and food truck operators and restaurants and caterers, what they all experience on a daily basis. So what foodies is, just briefly, we're a live food truck locator. So what's different than us, what's different about us than anybody else is that we use GPS tracking. So if you're set up somewhere else and it rains or the weather's not permitting you to set up, you don't have to go in and change anything. You don't have to go cancel your location. You're set up for your consumers to see that, because that's kind of the feedback that we're getting that's kind of negative, is that people are using other apps and people and the food trucks aren't showing up to where they're supposed to be, whether that's a malfunction or the weather or whatever. So ours is live GPS tracking. Once you have a business business profile through us, you just click live tracking. So it's just a quick toggle and it'll follow you. So if you got a route or if you're in multiple places in a day, you just leave it in there with you and it follows you around so consumers can find you. And on top of that, so once a consumer finds you on the map, they just click it and it navigates right to you. So that's one thing that could benefit you guys. The second thing was catering. So catering was always tough to find. I didn't have the marketing budget to say, hey, to advertise all my catering specials. So what we actually created is a place that simplifies catering for consumers and attracts them to the businesses. So a consumer can post an order, so whether it's fast casual, a birthday party, maybe they just want a wedding cake or a birthday cake, or if it's a small event organizer and they want to get food trucks for their event, all they have to do is post an order. And what it does is it matches with your profile. So when you set up your profile, if you're willing to travel 20 miles, 50 miles, or 100 miles, and based on your cuisine type, you'll start getting notifications. So you'll say, hey, there's a new order in your area. And unlike some of our competition, we don't take any of those percentages from you. Okay, so we're a flat rate. Foodies is a flat rate, so that way you can keep more money in your pockets. We don't want to deal with margins, trimming margins from you guys and from people like me. And then also events. So since we launched April of 2019, so last year. So we've only been launched about 9 months. We have about 300 businesses on. Almost 4,000 consumers, but we also have 21 events for next year, okay? So if you're in the Midwest, this could be a big opportunity. We have 5 events in Cincinnati. We have 6 in Detroit. I actually partnered with the USA Today. We do food truck mashups across the country. We did 3 of them last year, and we're expecting to do between 9 and 11 with them this year, it's across the country. So it could be California, New York, Mississippi, Kentucky. So we're all over with the USA Today. You will have opportunities to submit an application. If you download the Foodies app, you'll see what events are available. We should be posting those shortly. You guys kind of got the head up on it. You guys are in the know. So just know that we have 21 events coming up and that we are going to start to fill those. And And on top of that, we also offer daily deals. So that's one thing too that I had as a barbecue with my ribs and things like that. Anything that I wanted to push out, I pushed it out as a daily deal on Facebook. Like I said, not everybody saw it. It's all based on the algorithms. Ours, you push daily deal. You can submit a daily deal. We don't take any percentages. You post it. Consumers hit daily deal. You'll pop up on the daily deals. So it's very simple to use. It's very user friendly, and we're just a monthly subscription. So if you wanted to go month to month, it's $30 a month. If you want to sign a year contract, it's $20 a month for the year. And then also we do charge a small bid fee. So just to be transparent on everything. So like if you, right now there's a $10,000 catering order in the Detroit area. So if a food truck was to win that order, it'd be a $5 bid fee. So we want to keep everything low, everything affordable. We actually just set up an account with a major corporation in Cincinnati, where they're going to be posting $3,000 to $4,000 catering orders every week. So that's an opportunity too, and you wouldn't pay any more than like $5 or $10. So we want to keep everything super affordable. And I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate all of you guys sticking with me, listen to the very end. So what I want to offer everybody in this group is a free year. So that's a free subscription. That way you guys don't have to pay any subscriptions for a full year. You have to use the promo code MUSTHAVE. It's MUSTHAVE, no spaces, no capital letters. So if you download the app and you put in the promo code MUSTHAVE, you'll get 12 months free. Okay, and you'll be able to see any events, any catering. You'll get to use daily deals, your live food truck locator. And on top of that, you know, I'm a food truck owner, and I want to make sure that you guys are making money, you guys are profitable. So if in that year we can check the traction. So if you guys aren't making your money back, or you guys don't see the value, we can work something out and extend that for you too, because it's all about everybody doing well. So, but other than that, I mean, that's all I got, guys. I hope that, you know, you guys will reach out to me about foodies and we can have a more direct conversation. We can help you guys set things up. My email is Brandon@foodies, FOODEAZE.org. You can communicate to me through the group. I follow that closely. And I'll probably give you guys, if you guys need my cell phone number, I'll be happy to give that out as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to questions. See if there's anything that I can answer for you guys real quick that, you know, I can, that I might be able to save you guys some headaches. Let's see here. Yeah, I see a lot of good advice in the comments. Dan, regulations, license, and permits vary by state. Best to come well versed with your location. That's exactly right. Pop-up tents. So Joe, real quick, actually what's funny is with my Nom Nom Ninja, so I already had events in place, and this is what I'm saying, that you don't have to go big or go home. So really, if you just want to test out a new food item, or you want to test out a new concept, start from. We started from scratch with Nom Nom Ninja. We actually started with a pop-up tent. So some events will allow you to do that, some won't. We talked to the event organizers before we did it. It was a really good pilot program for us. So we were able to do 11 events at a casino out of a pop-up tent. We still had to have all the regulations, and they had their own inspectors. But that money proved our concept, okay? So if you're not ready to dive in and you just want to prove your concept, that's a good way to do it. With that money, we were able to, so with the money we made over those 10, 11 events, paid for our complete trailer. So I mean, that proved our concept, and that's what got us going in the right direction. It showed that there was a demand for it, and we were able to work out some bugs. So, I mean, yeah, I think a pop-up tent's great. If you can find an event that allow you to do it, and, you know, you guys can try it out. A lot of farmers markets and things like that will allow you to set up tents as well, as long as you have your inspections. What are my thoughts on staying in one place or moving around? From my experience from before, and when I had my larger setup, staying in one place, it built a lot of momentum at first, but I felt like it kind of died down. Once people kind of got used to where I was and trying out my food, you know, the traffic flow wasn't the same as it was in the first couple of weeks. So I definitely recommend, if you have one place, try to do a rotation weekly. You know what I mean? So that way people are trying something new and you're in front of the right people. But my experience, it wasn't that great. You know, it wasn't a good permanent thing. So like there's a lot of food truck parks popping up, and they offer a lot of, you know, they offer a lot of amenities. They offer a lot of attractions. They put a lot of food trucks in one place. And I know people that are doing those by the month or by the week. And I've heard a lot of good feedback on that. But as far as a permanent location, more than like maybe a month, I haven't had the best experience with it. So let's see. Download which app, Foodies or Foodies Business? So Foodies is the consumer side, which you guys are more than welcome to download that too. You'll be able to see any food trucks, any restaurants on in your area. Also, you'll be able to see your own profile to see what that looks like, which is kind of nice. But what for you guys, what you're going to utilize is Foodies Business. It has a black background instead of a green, but it says Foodies Business. You go ahead and set that up. It will ask for a credit card information, even though we're not charging you for the subscription, but that's only because if you win a bid, it'll tell you before. If you win that bid, it could be $2, $5, or $10. That's the most you'll pay. You'll only pay if you win that bid. If you lose it, there's no fees. So it does ask for a credit card because that's the only fee that you could accrue. But hey, if you're making money, hopefully you guys don't mind sharing a little bit. So I see a lot of good notes. If I'm a Foodie subscriber, can my customers track my truck and my Facebook page, or do they also have to have your app? Yeah, so right now there's no integration into any social media. What we do is it's solely because of like what I was saying with the algorithms, they won't show your consumers all of your posts. So, you're going to be missing out on opportunities if you're strictly relying on Facebook, where anybody in the country can download our app. They can hit the food truck map, and you'll pop up on this live map if you guys are operating. So no, it's not integrated into any social media at this point. Right now, it's strictly like everything's done through the app, which allows you to get the most exposure. Did any of the events you attend handle temporary event license, or did you call? The events that I did were all in my state. We do travel with Foodies across the country, but with my food truck, Nom Nom Ninja, we stayed in the state. There were a couple cities that required a temporary event license, but that was based on the city. Detroit was one of them. So that's another thing that you'll just have to call the city that you're planning on operating. It's really different. And then when you're down there, they also have their own fire inspection, their own health inspections. So they check everything out while you're down there too. So that's going to be county, city regulations, and they always change. So for example, like the city that I live in is $1,000 a year. The city over that has twice the population for a license to operate in their city is $98. So you just have to call and get familiar with every city and county. Would purchasing a commissary be more beneficial in the long run rather than rent? Yeah, I mean, commissaries are kind of a commodity right now, and they're definitely a valuable asset. This is one thing you guys could probably think about. So our app also ties into delivery. So if you guys are offering like Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, or anything like that, we tie into all third-party delivery systems and in-house. So that way consumers that don't have to download, multiple food delivery apps. On top of that, like if you're not advertising on every single one, you're going to miss opportunities. Where we put the one on there that you want to use, and as long as people are on our app, they're not missing out. Okay, they're not missing out on you. So like what a lot of people are doing with these commissaries now is they're doing cloud restaurants. So you guys may want to look into that too. So cloud restaurants allows you to serve multiple types of food and have different types of restaurants out of a single kitchen. Food trucks could probably do that too, but that's something that's becoming popular. So Grubhub opened one up in the West Coast. So yes, commissaries are becoming valuable, and especially because you can lease it out, rent it out, and you can look up cloud kitchens. Those are becoming the new thing. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Thanks, Skylar. We love Kona Ice too. Food Ease with a Z. I'm sorry, it's FODEAZE, one word. Hey, Tiffany, yes, you can definitely download the Foodies app and take advantage of the promo. Even if you don't have a business, you can kind of put in there what you expect your business name to be. You can add pictures and you can do things like that. And like I said, if you guys got any problems or any issues or have any questions, get a hold of me personally. I can check the traction so I can see, how many daily deals people are claiming, how many catering orders you're winning. Like I said, if it's not profitable for you, we're going to go ahead and extend that promotion, or we'll work something out because we want to make sure that it's working for you guys. Just checking and see if there's any more questions. All right, guys. So if you guys have any other questions, I appreciate you guys' time. Like I said, I'm looking forward to what this group evolves into. It's been great so far, all the information and everything that you guys are willing to help people out. That's what I love about the food truck industry. We're always looking out for each other. I don't see, Cloud Restaurants. You're right. Yep. So. Sorry, I don't have any tips for finding commissaries. I think the health department, if you call them, they might have a list of them, but that's not something that I've ever really dealt with. I don't use a commissary. Sorry about that. So, and then the best way for people to contact me is I can put my information on here. It's my email, but I can post it, but it's brandon@foodies.org. BRANDON@foodies.org. You can also like our Foodies Facebook page and message me through there. I'm the CEO, and then my partner Dustin, he's on there. We're always getting back to you guys. We try to have fast responses. So if you can't remember that email, look us up on Facebook or even Instagram, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And yes, promo code is must have, no spaces, no capitals. So must have, one word. And if you guys have any issues, or if you guys get billed and you guys are supposed to be on a trial, also like if for some reason you guys get billed, maybe the promo code didn't get an ad right, contact me. We'll make sure you guys get reimbursed. Everybody's been, real understanding. Sometimes the promo codes expire, something like that happens. Just let us know. We want to make sure you guys get taken care of. So, yep. Thanks, Max. All right, guys. Well, if that's, I don't think there's any more questions, but feel free to contact me anytime. If you guys ever want to do like a walkthrough, I can do that with you guys as well over the phone or over a video chat. But I'm looking forward to this year, guys. Big 2020. We have big events coming up. I'd love to see some of you guys part of if we're in your area. Get a hold of me, and thanks, guys.